All right, now let's take a look to see what Orthocenter is. We should have done this, but that's okay. This is B. All right, 5.1b. Because what was the first thing? We talked about that before I started recording. What was the first thing that we learned about? The what? The circumcenter. Let's do another quick review. I know I spent like 10 minutes already talking about it before I started recording. But how do we find the circumcenter? Perpendicular bisectors. Perpendicular bisector. All right. So make sure you keep that. Make a list. All right. Somewhere on your notes, make a list of 4 things. Okay. The first one is circumcenter. And how do you find the circumcenter? You find the perpendicular bisector of all 3 sides. Everybody got that? The second thing would be what? Orthocenter. Now we kind of center. Okay, that's kind of weird, but that's orthocenter. How do you find the orthocenter? We kind of alluded to it a little bit when we went over the homework. Okay, what was the one thing I said we haven't talked about yet, but there were answers? What was it? Altitude, okay? So you find the altitude, and you're like, I don't know what that means. Well, that's okay. We're going to learn it right now. All right, you're going to find the altitude. So to find the circumcenter, you find the perpendicular bisector. To find the orthocenter, you find the what? The altitude. We have 4 of these to remember. All right, again, we're taking it a little slower than what the book wants to do. So I'm taking it just one day at a time, one day for each of these. Okay, so we circumcenter, perpendicular bisector, orthocenter, you find the altitude. You've got to list those. Okay, put them on a paper. Put it in a box, color it in, do something. Put some bells and whistles on it. I don't know. Whatever's going to get your attention, right? Put it in your notes so that you can just look at it. You can look at that one page and remember which one's which, because you're going to have to remember that on the quiz and the test. Everybody understand that, right? All right. For you guys having your head on the desk, I would suggest that's probably not the best idea to learn this stuff. So let's talk about what an altitude is. Then we're going to go to GeoGebra, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So here's a little story. I don't know. I can't remember if I talked about it in here or not. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. I'm going to say it anyway. So let's say this is the ground. Let's make it a line. So that's the ground. That's the earth right there. And then you've got, oops, don't want that. Let's do this. Here's a plane. All right, here's my horrible artistic version of a plane. All right, that's a plane. All right, there's the cockpit right there. Yeah, it looks like I don't know what it looks like. It looks like a mosquito or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's my plane. I'm the worst artist ever in the world. So I'm very proud of that. So here's a plane going here. Has anybody ever flown on a commercial airline? Who's flown on a commercial airline? Okay. Pilot gets on there eventually and starts talking to you a little bit after the people say, don't jump out the windows, and here's, if we crash, suck onto this thing, and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's all that. But then the pilot gets on there in his pilot voice. I think they always try to be really cool. Hello, this is pilot speaking. We're gonna be flying at 20,000 feet. And that's how they always talk, like somebody in a movie or something like that. But anyway. So they say their altitude. They talk about the altitude. What do they mean? When they say our altitude is going to be 20,000 feet? What does that mean? How high you are? How high you are compared to what? The ground below you. And a lot of times you are going over the sea, but that's your altitude. Okay, you're probably right. It probably is sea level. All right, but let's say that's the sea right there. So where is it? Is it from there to there? Is that it? Is it from there to there? Where is it? Give me a good geometry word. Don't say up and down. Give me a good geometry word. Parallel? That would be parallel.
That's why I stopped.
Okay. Say, I heard it. Perpendicular. That's what I want to hear. So look, the altitude, everybody listening, is the perpendicular. Now, does it have to be a bisector? No, we're not bisecting the ground. This is just perpendicular. So this right there is the altitude. Altitude. There we go. So that's the altitude. Everybody got it? It's like you could say straight down. I mean, I guess it's okay, but I want a geometry word. Instead of saying straight down, we're going to say perpendicular to the ground. That's the altitude. All right? So what if I had like a slanted line? Now we're not an airplane this time, okay, but what if I put a point right there and I ask you to draw the altitude? Let's do it in a different color so it stands out a little bit. From this point to this line right here, this line segment or line, it could keep going forever. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, how would I draw the altitude? Do I go to the end point right there? Do I go to there? Can I go anywhere? No. What would the altitude have to be? Give me a good geometry word. Perpendicular. Okay, so that looks perpendicular, don't you think? Which means it makes what kind of an angle? If it's perpendicular, it makes a right angle. Or how many degrees is that? 90-degree angle. Okay, that right there, that yellow one, would be the altitude. You with me on it? So if I have a point and I got a line, how do you find the altitude? You draw a perpendicular line from that point to the place where you want it to hit. Okay? Everybody with me on that? So what we're going to do is we're going to draw altitudes in a triangle. And what program are we going to use to do that? What do we call that program? GeoGebra. That's right. So let me go to here so that we can see it on YouTube. You don't understand what? Well, I repeat things a whole lot. I actually watched the video from yesterday, last night, just because I wanted to. That's how I. Remember I did that circle thing, that circumscribed circle. That's why when I remembered, oh man, I didn't do that thing. So sometimes I rewatch my videos just to see if I missed something. And I was listening to the video because I remember he said, I mean, I could see the confusion on your face, and I get it. It's a lot of new stuff. But I did repeat stuff over and over and over and over and over again. All right. So just watching the video, if you go back and watch the video again, sometimes hearing it live in person, sometimes you're kind of sleepy. You know, the lights are out in here, and it's just that atmosphere where it's just kind of calm, and it's easy for your mind to go other places. Everybody's looking at the goat sometimes. All right, whatever. All right, let's stop doing that, please. Do you really need to do that? I'm just trying to hold off. I thought you would stop by now. Okay, just put it down. Just put it down. It's so distracting to me. So stop. It just is. It doesn't matter how. It is. So stop doing it. Is that really necessary to do right now? You should be taking notes on this stuff. Oh, my word. So what I was trying to say is I do repeat myself over and over again so that you could get it. But if you still don't get it in class, you walk out and you're like, man, I have no idea what's going on. Then what should you do? Go to YouTube and watch the video. You don't have to watch the whole entire thing from beginning to end. Just watch the parts that you were confused about. But we'll try to do this again. So thank you. My gosh. So what we're going to do is draw a triangle. So, oops, don't want that. Why did it do that? Oh, I know why. Because it doesn't like this. It doesn't like me using that pad. There we go. It's weird why it doesn't like that. All right, there's a triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an altitude from a point perpendicular to the opposite side. You hear what I just said? From a point. How many points do I have in this triangle? 3. Okay, so take any point. Which one do you want to use? A, B, or C? B? You want B? All right, we can do that. So if I have point B, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw from point B perpendicular to the opposite side of B. So which line segment, what side of this triangle is the opposite side of B? AC. Very good. Okay, so AC is opposite B. So what am I going to do? I'm going to draw a line that starts at B and does what? It's perpendicular to this. Okay? It's not the perpendicular bisector. Everybody hear me on this? Perpendicular bisector would start here and just go perpendicular to it, right? It wouldn't even go through B. So what's an altitude? An altitude's a little different. An altitude starts at a point and it goes perpendicular to the opposite side. So let's do that. This is perpendicular line. So if I click here and then I click on this line right here, what's it going to do? It's going to give me a line that goes from here and it'll probably hit about right in there somewhere. Wouldn't you guess? All right, so let's do that. There it is, right there. All right, so what is that line that I didn't draw it, but that showed up right there. That is the what? It's not a perpendicular bisector. It's a what? It's an altitude. It's an altitude. All right. Why is it an altitude? Because it starts at a point on the. It starts at one of the vertices. I should say that. Okay. Starts at a vertex and it goes perpendicular to the opposite side. Does that make sense? So what is it? It's a what? Altitude. All right. Let's do another one. Let's start at A. And I'm going to go perpendicular to what side now? Starting at A, I'm going to go perpendicular to the opposite side. What's the opposite side of point A? BC. That's right. It's this one right there. So where do you think it's going to hit? It's probably going to hit around here somewhere. Wouldn't you think? Right? Wouldn't that look perpendicular if I started A? Yeah, probably right here. So I click A. I click this. Boom. There it is. Yep. Right where I thought it would be. So those two lines intersect each other. What do you think might be true about the third one? It's going to intersect where? Right where those two intersected. Okay? So I'm going to start at C, and it's going to be perpendicular to the opposite side as C. What's the opposite side of C? AB. Good. So I'm going to come over here, click on AB, and where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go right through this. That's right. It's going to go right through that. It's going to hit perpendicular. So watch this. Just click on this side. Boom. Right through there. Isn't that cool? Circumcenter did that, didn't it? In fact, all four of these things that we're going to talk about, all right, remember I keep saying there's four of them. All four of them are going to all intersect at one point. All right, and that has a name. And why am I blanking on the name? I'm looking at my notes. It's, let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's a word that I should have said yesterday. Do you see how all three of these connect at that one point? We say that those lines are concurrent. I think we did that at the beginning of the year, didn't we? Talk about concurrent lines. All right. Yep, I think we did. So these are concurrent. They're concurrent at that particular point. All right. So let's put a point right there. And let's double click on this and we'll name, I think, yeah, this names it. What are we calling this thing? Yeah, but what's the name of it, where they intersect? What was the name of the title of this lesson? What's the title of this lesson? Orthocenter. So this is the Orthocenter. All right. Let me do this. This is what I want to click right here. Label. Okay, so I'm going to call it the Orthocenter. See, the more I use this, the better I get. But when I don't use it, see that point right there? That's the orthocenter. How did I find the orthocenter? I found the what? The altitudes of all three vertices. Everybody got it? Okay. So let's do this. Let's get rid of those lines just because they're kind of ugly. And all I care about is the, let's see. If I click on that one, okay, that's that. Get rid of that one. Which one's this one? That one. Get rid of that one. So I'm going to keep the orthocenter right where it is. We don't need all those lines now. All right. So how did I find that particular point? Found the altitude of all three angles. Everybody got it? So look, if I move the triangle around, the orthocenter moves around as well. Remember we did this yesterday with the circumcenter? Check it out. If I make it an obtuse, if I make an obtuse triangle, look where that orthocenter goes. It goes where? It goes outside. Okay. What if I make it an acute triangle? Where's that orthocenter? It's inside, just like the circumcenter. Agreed? All right. What if I make it a right? Now this is, yeah, it doesn't just go anywhere. This is where it's a little different than the circumcenter. If I made that a right triangle, where does the orthocenter go? It goes right on the what? On the, not just the line, but where? On the angle, right on the right angle. It goes right on the right angle. Okay? Does that make sense? And it should make sense, because if that's a right angle, what's the altitude? It goes from here, perpendicular to there. Agreed? It goes from here, perpendicular to there. So it should end up right on that right angle. So that's kind of interesting. All right? Now, Remember on the circumcenter, we said there was something special about the circumcenter? Remember the circumcenter was the same distance to all three vertices? Yeah? Right? So wherever the circumcenter was, it was the same distance to that as to this, as to this. The orthocenter, there's nothing special about the orthocenter. The only thing really special about it is that it's concurrent, that those three lines intersect at the orthocenter. There's nothing special about it. It's not equal, right, from A to B. Look, it kind of looks right now like from here to A and from here to B are the same, doesn't it? Almost looks like it. But does it look like it's the same distance from the orthocenter to C? No, there's no way. From there to there and there to there might look the same, but from here to here definitely don't look the same as from the orthocenter to A or the orthocenter to B. All right? There's nothing special about it. All right? It's not the equidistant from anything. All right? It just is the orthocenter and that's it. So that's actually kind of nice because that's one less thing we got to worry about. All right? But you just have to know, how do you find the orthocenter? How do you find the orthocenter? You find the what? What's the key word today? Altitude, okay, of all three sides or all three angles, I guess. Starting at the angle, it's perpendicular to here. Starting at this angle, it's perpendicular. Starting at this angle, it's perpendicular, okay? And it meets right there. So the only thing really special about it is it meets at one point. That's it, all right? That's all you got to know. Everybody got it? Okay. Let's go back to Illustrator. All right. And let's take a look at the homework. So I gave you 1 to 7 before, right? So this time we're skipping. We're still doing section 5.1. We'll call it 5.1b. So the one we went over earlier today was 5.1a, and this is 18 to 28. That's 18 to 28. So that's your homework right there. Homework. 18 to 28. All right, that's 11 problems. Nope, it's 11. Because you got to do number 18. Right? It's count them up. Count them. You're laughing at me. You're laughing at me. Count them. From 18 to 28. Is it 10? Is it 10? Is it? Let's count them. Ready? Let's do it together. So you got to do number 18, right? That's 1. Then 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and then 28. That's 11 problems. We're not finding the difference between 28 and 18. We're actually doing number 18. Okay? So you have to add 1 to that. All right. So that's 11 problems. Everybody good? So you're learning all kinds of new stuff today, aren't you? All right. Have that done. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And we got one more to do tomorrow. What's tomorrow's?
What's 18 plus 10?
Tomorrow, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a sneak preview. Listen. Tomorrow is called the in-center. How many of these are we doing?
10.
How many of these words are we learning? This is the third one. Learning 4. I've said it over and over again. Okay. This is number 3. All right. This is number 3. It's the in-center. We're going to do the same kind of stuff that we did for in-center than we do for the others too. You got to keep it straight though. Don't just wait to the end, the day before or the morning of, or 5 minutes before you come to class when you take the quiz or test and try to remember which one's which. All right, start now. Start now. Get it in your head. I repeat these all the time. I repeated it today. Circumcenter, you do the perpendicular bisector. Orthocenter, you find the altitude. Tomorrow, we're going to learn how to find the in-center. All right, and something else goes with the in-center, and you're going to have to remember that as well. Then we got one more after that, okay? I don't want to ruin all the fun. We'll wait till we get to it, all right? All right, that's enough.